Did the Magic community really lose $100 million when Mana Crypt was banned? I decided to look at the most infamous banning in the history of Magic 86 days later to see what really happened to the market. Back on September 26th, the Commander Rules Committee announced that they were banning Mana Crypt, Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, and Nadu Winged Wisdom from the Commander format. With that announcement, the sky fell, and many Magic players, myself included, speculated that day just how much money they thought was disappearing from the collector's market. At the time, I speculated that of the 50 million active Magic players, if half of them played Commander, as it's the most popular format in Magic, that'd be 25 million players. And if only 1% of those 25 million players owned a single copy of Mana Crypt, what would that look like? Through a little bit of napkin math and some hoops I jumped through at the time, I suggested that $100 million or more had disappeared out of the collector's market in just one day. It's clear that if you start with Mana Crypt and you look at the most premium versions, the Judge promos, the Inventions, the special versions from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, those versions only fluctuated by maybe 20%. But relative to the commonly printed versions, these ones are really hardly out there. 330 becomes 280, so on and so forth. But if you look at the most commonly owned versions, which would be the version from Mystery Boosters 2, the Eternal Masters version, these versions drop by a whopping 65% on average, which equates to close to like 120, 130 bucks per copy. While the premium versions of Jeweled Lotus may have dropped only 40 to 50%, the standard printings of the card from Commander Legends, Commander Masters dropped like 75%, equaling roughly an average of about $68 per copy. Even the premium versions of Dockside could hardly save the price here, with it looks like premium versions dropping by 70% and standard versions dropping by almost 80%, like 60 bucks a copy. There were only a few cards that really went up in price with these bannings, Mana Vault being absolutely the most significant, but in general, the copies of Mana Vault that went up probably went up by about 20%. Some versions closer to 35 or 40%, but in general, the appreciation was maybe an average of $20 or $25 per copy. The hardest thing to really know is how many copies of these cards are actually out in the world. Now, Dockside was in a pre-constructed deck, which means it goes to Target and Walmart as a 1 in 4, plus obviously it's in the Double Master set as a Chase Mythic, as well as the original Media promo and the Judge promo. Mana Crypt has 3 printings that are at least somewhat common, as well as the version from Lost Caverns of Ixalan, which the Rainbow version I think is the common one that you see quite a few of. And Jeweled Lotus has just shown up in 2 Master sets as a Mythic. I think it's fair to say that if a 250,000 Mana Crypts lost, let's say an average of 120 bucks a pop, that's like $30 million. Jeweled Lotus has less printing, let's say 60 bucks a pop on 100,000 copies. There you're probably looking at about $6 million. And let's say Dockside Extortionist has the most copies because it was a 25% chance of just being on your shelves if you ordered it at mass retail, plus all the specialty and the fact that it was in Double Masters, let's say 350,000 copies. Assume Mana Vault and Nadu loosely canceled themselves out. What you're looking at is probably about $60 million of market fluctuation. Not quite the 100 million that we talked about, because Crypt has actually managed to maintain a price tag of close to 90 bucks still. Looking back, how do you feel about this banning, and how do you think it compares to this thing with the One Ring and Mox Opal? Let me know below in the comments, and make sure you hit follow if you like Magic Finance content.